Hey, juliusxx here. I have a really interesting conversation to have today about the Google Pixel 3 XL and how the notch actually reminds me of a man bun. And you're probably rolling your eyes as I said that because it is one of the most ridiculous, fatty hairstyles, to date. And it's actually really interesting to draw the parallels between a man bun and notches, and particularly on mobile device technology, and how they're very, very similar. And it just kind of like is really interesting to me to see how similar they actually are. Let me first tell you about man bun. So if you look around in most metropolitan cities, you'll notice that little hairstyle where the sides are shaved and then there's a top knot on the hair. The top is left long, sides are shaved clean. Or sometimes people have long hair all over the head and just have it knot at the top. But let's go back to the history of the man bun or the top knot and where it actually started. It started around, as far as history can tell, 200 BC amongst samurai warriors and sumo wrestlers. So that's where kind of the roots came from. Some of them did it because it got in the way of like their samuraiing or their sumo wrestling. So I think it's kind of like a functionality reason why they did it. Some of them actually did it as a sign of that they're married. I think in some Korean history, if you had a man bun or a top knot, that signified that you're married. So it actually had a kind of, significance to why you had it, not just for a fashion perspective. So let's fast forward a bunch of years to the year 2013-ish, 2012, and you'll see a quick resurgence of this hairstyle. It caught on. People wanted to grow the hair out to become like this, to have this popular hairstyle. And even yours truly, yes, I tried to grow my hair out to have that style because during that time, 2013, 2014, I personally had it in 2015. That was just the hairstyle to have. Everybody wanted to do it, and then it seemed cool, but looking back now, it's just like, oh man, what was I thinking about? So you'll actually kind of see in 2018 now, the man bun is less frequent and it's less out there. You don't see it as much. You'll still see it a few times here and there, but it's kind of being used by people late to the party, I guess you could say, or maybe they just finally got their hair long enough to have the man bun or top knot, so they're finally rocking it. But you'll see it less and less. But in like 2015, I would think that was when it was at its peak, and everywhere in Toronto at least, I saw the hairstyle left, right, and center. It was crazy. It's fading now. So it's actually pretty interesting to try to draw that parallel with the notches, because I think personally that notches should begin fading out. Like, this is in particular with the Google Pixel 3 XL, which, like I titled this video, the opinion piece. It's because I find that the Google Pixel 3 XL is not just ridiculous, and it's huge, and it's just fatty, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I returned my Pixel 3 XL, because of that notch. It reminded me of a man bun. It finally struck me like that the notch on a device is similar to a man bun or a top knot, and I'll explain in greater detail in just a second. But looking at my Google Pixel 3 XL on a day-to-day basis, I had it for about 3 or 4 days, but I could not look past that notch. And just like in today's day and age, whenever I see a top knot or a man bun, I can't stand it. I can't look at it. And again, I apologize if I'm offending anybody. This is solely, I'm not talking about anyone's personality or how anything else. It's just that hairstyle in particular and what it kind of entails or encompasses and how it's tied to the notches. And I'll explain it to you in more detail in just a second. Well, the first one, and it's pretty fairly simple and easy ones because it's at the top of the device or the top of the head. That's one of the most basic similarities that a notch and a man bun would have. Another reason why man buns and notches are similar is because, similar to the notch, the man bun started low key. In around 2010, it was a style popping up in London, England, and it didn't catch on to the world just yet. And it started to gain resurgence in like real big, a real big jump in the search history on Google in around 2013. So man buns had a low-key start, and similar with notches, they actually also had a low-key start. Essential was the first company to really incorporate the notch into a device with their Essential phone, and you'll see in the next example, it then catches on like wildfire. So the next reason why man buns and notches are similar is because man buns get celebrity endorsement. You'll see David Beckham, hair poster boy, he rocks one really early on, but then you can see it really jump off when celebrities like Jared Leto, Chris Hemsworth, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Orlando Bloom, they start rocking the top knot or man bun, and it just catches on. And in this analogy in particular, the celebrity endorsement is Apple. So the celebrities and the Apples of the world begin utilizing their man buns or notches, and everyone sees this and they kind of want to like jump in and get to the party. They want to start growing their hair, they want to start incorporating notches into the devices. It starts catching on because of the celebrity endorsement. And the last reason is man buns and notches generally serve no purpose, and I'm referring in particular in this example, the Android world, the notches just don't make any sense. And same with man buns, they just don't make any sense. I'll refer back to a previous example I said, but in ancient Korean history, the man bun signified that you were married. So it was actually a symbolic thing, whereas the man bun at the top knot means nothing. It's just a fad style, and like lots of fads and things in style, they fade away, they go away. And I speak specifically about Android notches and how they don't do anything is because lots of these manufacturers, as they say that they want to, like the Huawei's, the LGs, and the Googles, they say that they want to incorporate notches to have a better screen to body ratio. But in reality, what they're cramming into that notch is just a front-facing camera or speakers. And like we've all seen devices that can do that. Samsung can do that, the S9, the Note 9, they can incorporate it. They've incorporated awesome screen to body ratios, almost all screen devices, and they found a way to have a camera and a speaker in a little small top area of a device. And I think when lots of manufacturers are saying that, it's just marketing thing, or just kind of like, I guess you could say a lie, just because they want to copy the Apples of the world and the notches and the man buns of the world. And going back to notches that actually do something, the Apple iPhone 10, iPhone XS, and iPhone XR notches, they incorporate the Face ID technology. Now that I'm circling all this back to the Google Pixel 3 XL, and I'm realizing that I need a device, if I have a device that has a notch, it needs to serve a better purpose. And in this case, the Google Pixel 3 XLs didn't. And it also, just to elaborate further on that point, the notch comes down way too low, and it kind of gets in the way of the screen, in my opinion at least. The iPhone 10s, when I'm comparing that notch, it's nicely thin at the top, it kind of spreads out, and it doesn't get in the way of anything. And I'm aware that you can actually hide the notch on the Google Pixel 3 XL, but that doesn't make it okay. It's like having a man bun or a top knot and then putting a hat on top of it. That doesn't make it okay. Again, so I've returned my Pixel 3 XL, and if I'm going to go back to an Android device and it does have a notch, it needs to serve a greater purpose. There has to be some sort of face unlock technology. Yes, I know OnePlus has that technology, and same with Samsung, they have the iris scanners, but just generally speaking, it needs to be that kind of technology in there that actually has the similar one that, as Apple has, the billion little sensors of measuring your face and creating a 3D map of your face versus just an image of your face or scanning your eyes. And just to elaborate further on that, the Face ID technology, the way I like it, it needs to be tied into other services like my payment methods or my app download methods. That's another reason why I could say okay to the notch on the iPhones, because it serves a greater purpose than just a front-facing camera and speakers. And lots of the Android world right now, with their man buns, with their notches, they just don't serve a greater purpose. And it's a fad that I personally am not going to buy into. I'm going to try to vote with my wallet, I guess you could say. I'm not going to spend money on a device that has a useless notch just to play copycat or just to kind of come late to the party, growing out the hair, and in this figurative sense, that's the notch, and finally incorporate it onto the devices. No, that's not me. In a lot of the ways, the Google Pixel 3 XL's great software, great camera, great build quality in terms of the glass and the metal sandwich, not the notch, that's all negated, in my opinion, by that huge ass notch. Like, I can't look past it. And maybe I'm nitpicking, but if I'm spending close to $1,000 on a device, I need to be happy about it 100%. And with the Google Pixel 3 XL, I was happy about it like 50%, really. I couldn't justify spending that kind of money on it if I wasn't truly happy with it. And that notch just made me go nuts. I couldn't stand it. And similar to man buns and top knots in 2018, I can't stand it when I see them on the street. A lot of people are catching on, right? They don't have the hairstyle anymore. They're saying this hairstyle is silly, I'm not doing it anymore. And manufacturers should hopefully turn to their design teams and say, hey man, these notches, they're silly. Let's not do them anymore. Let's figure something else out. So let me know what you think. Do you think my analogy is far off? Do you think it's too extreme? Do you not hate the nachos as much as I do? Hopefully this kind of sparks, some debate or opinion on the matter. And if you do feel like I'm way off, please leave a comment down below. If you agree that you hate nachos and you just like the same way you hate man buns and top knots, let me know in the comments down below as well. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya!